There's a problem in the industry. I think of CMO as being one of the most important roles to the company. And it went from what Peter Drucker says to being a business having two priorities, marketing and innovation, to really a bunch of social media tweets, Google Analytics, websites, and advertisements. And I'm not sure how it lost its way. It went from strategy, really, to just the execution communications. And there's nothing wrong with communications. It's a critical part of the process, but that's not all of it. And I viewed the two together, from the strategy side to the communication. So when I was a CMO, I would hire the large consulting groups out of Boston and New York, and they give me these big strategy decks that were these big market analysis, the 100-page documents, and I would, spend hundreds of thousands of dollars with these. And then I would turn to my marketing agency, and they would do some superficial research and do some cool, clever messaging and advertising campaign, and the two never mixed together. And in some companies in my past life, the strategy was not even considered marketing, which is insane. Strategic marketing was just something separately handled by somebody else, totally separate, with reporting to the chief strategy officer. And suddenly marketing was just this marketing and communications role that only focused on press releases, content, anything just tactical with no value, perceived value from the executive leadership team. So I saw there's this huge disconnect. They have to be able to combine the two together. What's happening today is we're using social media with some cool videos and some tweets, and we're focused on search marketing and all this stuff to get the awareness out, but it has no substance or a real strategy behind it, because there's a huge disconnect. And most of the ecosystem isn't setting up the CMO to succeed and be a strategic partner with what they are. But there's something bigger happening in the industry, and it's called market invention. I'll use advertising as an example in leadership. Everyone knows, and the research shows, if you're in the number one position in a market or industry, you have more than 50% of share. And 2, 3, 4, 5 is all about the same level of market share. So if you're number 2, you might as well be 5th or 6th. It really doesn't matter. And what people are doing 2, 3, 4, and 5, and they don't even realize this, is when they advertise, they're actually generating more revenue for number 1. And how does that work? It seems counterintuitive, right? So imagine you're a new industry or a product and you're advertising, and you're number 2, and you're advertising to bring somebody new that is not buying a product today. So they come into your industry not knowing or not even having it. Say it's a camera. They start doing their research because on the internet, all of it's available. What happens is you spend the money to get them into buy your product, your market, and then they choose number 1 because they do their own research. So what's happening is people are spending a lot of advertising dollars, and they're 2, 3, 4 think it's going to increase their market share, when what it's doing is just giving more revenue to number 1, and they get revenue too, but it never moves their market share. So you have a choice as a marketer, as a CMO. Do I want to do just more advertising to keep a number 2, 3, 4, or 5? Or do I want to do something different and create a new market, a new definition of the market, and then move that market into your favor? So you go from number 2 to number 1, and number 1 goes down to number 2. And that's a big shift. And that's what we're calling market invention. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. We have a lot to cover on market invention and market inventors. If there is a market inventor you'd like me to interview, please drop me a line, let me know, and keep watching. Thanks again, everyone.